Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feet here, and we're sitting here today with Charles Ticker, mediator and estate litigator, and we're going to talk about something that a lot of people are focusing on these days, which is virtual mediation. So, welcome, Charles.
Thank you, Safit.
So I want to ask you about virtual mediation. Now, mediation in general has become a very popular way to resolve estate litigation matters or any litigation matters for that matter. And with recent events, people are turning more and more to virtual options, virtual events, virtual mediation. So I want to ask you today, what are the pros and cons of virtual mediation? Is this something that people should be considering? Yes, no, maybe, what?
Well, certainly virtual mediation is become much more mainstream since the current crisis has started. However, as we are getting familiar with the technology and how you can do virtual mediations, what we're finding is that this is a process that probably can be very useful regardless of the situation and regardless of whether or not we can leave our homes and interact with people. In fact, virtual mediations have been around for some time. They just haven't caught on because traditionally people would do them in person. So the pros are that they do work. They're virtually the same as alive, not the same because you're not there meeting people in person, but very close. And the pros are is that we can do them now and be productive and serve the clients at this time and help them resolve their disputes. Because when things do get back to normal, there's going to be a tremendous backlog at the courts, and who knows when court dates will be available. And better to see what you can do to resolve disputes now. So,
Right.
so those are the pros, and the cons are is that uh, not everyone is comfortable with technology. People are concerned about security issues, whether or not uninvited guests are going to join the meeting or butt in, whether or not you can control confidentiality and those sort of issues. Those are some of the issues that people have raised, but many of these issues can be addressed.
Well, so I just want to go a little deeper on a few of the things you said. You brought up a lot of really good points. I mean, definitely the whole issue of, should they be doing it now, a mediation, or should they wait until, who knows when you can do a physical mediation? That's a good point. What about the whole geographic thing? I mean, do you ever get situations where somebody has to fly from the other end of the country in order to do a mediation? Wouldn't this really help in that circumstance?
It certainly would help because that is another issue when travel restrictions are going to be lifted. But even uh, in the past, I've had mediations where parties have been outside the country, and we have used virtual video technology to have them participate at the mediation. So there's certainly an advantage there, and um, with everyone connected on the internet, it's really very easy to do, and you can have people all over the world, different time zones or whatever, participating in the mediation.
So how do you make sure, let's say you're doing a mediation right now and you've got, now would the lawyers and the clients, sorry, let's back this up a step. Lawyers are usually in the room with their clients during a mediation, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so in this circumstance, if you had, a, a, a brother and a sister fighting each other over mom's cottage, and they're doing a mediation, would sister have sister's lawyer physically there with her, or would she be in a separate place than her lawyer also? So are you going to have like 4 or 5 different places?
Yes, well, with the technology that I use, and which is being very popular with mediators doing virtual mediations, Zoom, you can create separate breakout rooms just like you would in a actual in-person mediation. So the lawyer and their client can be assigned by the mediator to a breakout room. So they'll see each other on the screen. They won't be in the same physical space, but they'll be in the same virtual space in their own breakout room, their virtual breakout room. The other side will similarly have a virtual breakout room, and they won't be able to see or hear what's going on in the other room. Only the mediator will once the mediator enters the room, and we can talk about how that works.
So would the lawyers be able to talk privately with their clients without the mediator hearing also?
Yes, of course.
All right. And how do you make sure that, let's say, brother's wife isn't also listening in with brother in the room? Like, you think you're just talking to brother, but he's got a gallery of 10 people behind him, or maybe he's secretly recording this, right? It's supposed to be off the record in mediation, no?
Well, in terms of controlling who's in the room or who's in the background, who may be listening in, that is one of the potential disadvantages of a virtual mediation. Um, but the agreement can be framed in such a way that confidentiality extends uh, to, of course, the parties who will be signing the agreement, and we can incorporate a clause that says, and they vouch that no one else is going to be with them, or they will advise the mediator, the parties, if anybody else wants to participate, so that party can also sign the agreement. There is a bit of good faith there, and that could be um, a possible issue, but at least in terms of seeing that at the mediation, most of the day the parties are going to be in their own breakout rooms. By setting up the virtual breakout room, the other party can be um, uh, fairly confident that nobody's going to get into that room, because the mediator is controlling who can goes into that room. So nobody can hear what you're saying to your own lawyer. Who's talking to the other lawyer with the other party, that is something that can be vouched for 100%. In terms of recording, obviously mediations are off the record. They are not to be recorded. My understanding is that the mediator or the mediator's assistant, whoever is acting as the host of the meeting, controls the recording process, or the settings can be set that only the host could record. So I don't think someone could record off the computer. Then again, they could take their cell phone, I guess, and record, uh,
Yeah.
but they're not.
All right.
I don't know what they'll be recording, because most of the time they're going to be in a private session.
Okay. Okay. Well, and we're running out of time, and there's so much more I want to ask you about. I mean, I've read articles about these Zoom bombers. What is that, and how do you prevent that?
Well, there have been instances on Zoom where uninvited people or unwelcome people are joining the meeting, and causing problems. It has happened in some settings where there's been meetings and people have come on and made you know, very improper remarks, and they have to be removed by the host. And but Zoom has incorporated some updated security features to the software, so this really can be minimized. And the key is that when someone gets the link to on a Zoom invite to a meeting, that they not share that with other people. It should only be going to the parties and their lawyers. And then once the meeting starts, the mediator, once everyone is there, can lock the door, lock the meeting, so nobody else can join. And
Oh,
also,
that's interesting.
we can require passwords. So Zoom has incorporated a lot of features that in the updated software that will eliminate most of these problems.
And I imagine there'll be other companies that'll probably start creating, maybe even specifically for this scenario. You mentioned to me before we jumped on our call today that there are some outside companies in the litigation field, or that uh, offer these services for mediators. Is that right?
Yes,
Through your
there.
bar association, or?
Yeah, the Ontario Bar Association has started a program. I'm one of the mediators on their roster, in which they will provide support services to mediators to handle all the technological and administrative aspects at a very reasonable cost, and that would allow the mediator and the clients to concentrate on the mediation. So that's an interesting and very helpful initiative that the Ontario Bar Association, and there are also various the various reporting offices, court reporters have set up facilities to accommodate this as well.
All
And some
right.
mediators are just choosing to handle the logistics on their own because the software is fairly user friendly.
Okay. And I mean, we're going to have to wrap up, but I just want to ask you to, you've told us some pros, you've told us some cons. Overall, is this something that you would recommend to people?
Oh, by all means.
Virtual mediation? Yeah.
By all means, the feedback that I've been hearing from lawyers and other colleagues of mine that are mediators, that things have been going very smoothly. There are things that you can do to ensure that the technology works better, like things like using a wired connection to the internet as opposed to wireless. Um, but the technology is working well, and there's simply no reason to wait for in-person mediations. If you're ready to go, if you have all the information at your disposal to have a meaningful mediation, um, certainly I would recommend considering a virtual mediation.
All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been Charles B. Ticker, mediator and estate litigator. Thank you for your time today, Charles.
My pleasure. Thanks.